Hello YouTube, I'm Anna Christine, I'm the Beantown Reader. Today's video is going to be my March monthly wrap-up and my April TBR. So grab your coffees and let's get started. I read about 6 books this month, which is really good. I usually, for my set TBR, I pick about 4 out, so it's about one a week. And if I exceed that, I'll just pick at random, whatever I'm feeling like reading. So the first 4 books I read were The Giver Quartet by Lois Lowry. I read The Giver when I was in school. I'm sure a lot of people had to. And I don't remember loving it, but that's kind of the way it is with school-required reading sometimes, that you just don't, absorb a lot of it because you're being forced to read it. I picked up The Giver last year again, for the first time in years, and I fell in love with it. It was an incredible story. So when I saw this beautiful, beautiful box set at Barnes & Noble, I could not leave without it. So I picked it up and I read the rest of them. The first book in the quartet, The Giver, is a story about Jonas. Jonas lives in a dystopian society where at the age of 12 you're assigned a job that you will do for the rest of your life. Jonas is very anxiously anticipating this ceremony. He has no idea what his future holds for him, and at the ceremony he's told that he has not been assigned, he has been selected to become the receiver of memory. He has no idea what this means, which is incredibly frightening. The second book in the series is Gathering Blue. This story centers around a girl named Kira whose mother just died. She spent the last 4 days sitting with her mother's body so that her spirit can safely pass over into the spirit world. Kira was born with what they call a twisted leg. She was born with a handicap, and her mother fought to let the village allow Kira to live, as they seem. The third book, Messenger, centers around Maddie. Maddie is a young boy who lives with his adopted father, Seer. When an evil arises in the forest surrounding their village, Maddie is the only person who will be able to save them. The last book in the quartet is Sun. This book centers around a girl named Claire who was assigned as a birth mother. When her production ends badly, she is dismissed from being a birth mother. She leaves the society and loses her memory in an accident. Suddenly, her memories return, she remembers her son, and she vows to fight no matter what the odds are to get her son back. So, I absolutely loved this quartet. The first book I knew I already loved, but I read it again just, to get the feel for the world again. And then when I got into Gathering Blue, I was a little concerned. It was a companion novel, which I know isn't always set to the same story, but it was a completely different place. Completely different characters. No one from the first book was in it. The society was 100% different than Jonas's in the first book. Once I got to Messenger, you start to see characters from the first 2 books come in, and then in Sun, it all wraps up and everybody, all the characters, there's a lot of closure for every character that, I fell in love with every main character of this book. I fell in love with all of the side characters. Lois Lowry just has such a way of writing. Her writing style is so calming, and she really, I really felt what these characters were feeling. My favorite book in the series was definitely Sun. Sun was an incredible story of love and compassion and journey, and, the main character, there was so much character development. Claire went through so much development as a character, more so than any character I've ever read. I absolutely adored it. I ended up giving this series, The Giver, I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it, adored it. Gathering Blue, I gave a 4 out of 5 stars, only because when I read it, I was really confused as to where all the characters were. How is this a companion if, we're in a completely different setting and completely new people? I don't understand it. And Messenger and Sun, I also gave 5 out of 5 stars. Again, I loved this series. I have a written review and a rapid recap for all these books on my website, thebeantownreader.com. And if you don't know what a rapid recap is, when I read a book, I take notes for every chapter, and my rapid recap is just a quick overview of every chapter of the book. So if, say, you read The Giver years ago and you want to pick up Gathering Blue, but you don't want to have to read the whole book again, or, any of them, you can just go on to thebeantownreader.com, find the rapid recap for the book that you're looking for, and just, there's a quick synopsis of each chapter. The 5th book I read in March was The Red Pyramid by Rick Riordan. This is the first book in the Kane Chronicles. It centers around Carter and Sadie. Carter and Sadie's mother died years ago, and Sadie was sent to live with her grandparents in London while Carter traveled with his father all over the world. His father's an archaeologist. He's an Egyptian, specialist. They come together for, just a day's visit. Carter and his father go to visit Sadie, and suddenly, his father takes them to a museum, and he releases these Egyptian gods. He's entombed in a sarcophagus, and these two siblings are pushed together to try to, they have to find their father. I didn't love it. I didn't like it very much, which it was a huge disappointment. I read the Percy Jackson series last year, and I adored it. This book felt very juvenile, which I know it's a middle grade book, but one thing I loved about Rick Riordan in the Percy Jackson series is that it was middle grade. It would have been very easy for a younger reader to read it, but he wasn't juvenile. I don't see the point in writing a book for a young reader that's, really easy to read. Just middle grade books, or, you're between picture books and, big young adult books, or, adult novels. And one thing I loved about Rick Riordan was I felt in the Percy Jackson series that he was really preparing young readers to expand their, reading and getting into older books. This book, every 4 chapters, it was just, regurgitating the same scenario. First one chapter, the siblings are fighting, and then the next chapter, suddenly there's this creature that's chasing them, and then the next chapter, they say their apologies and they're all better again. And then, the next chapter, they're bickering and fighting, and I just couldn't get past the bickering of these two kids. I just didn't get it. I didn't have a feel for them. I really didn't connect to any character. I gave this book a 2 out of 5 stars. 1, because I loved the writing style of it. It's written as if these two kids are recording and telling the story of what happened to them, which is really unique. I loved that about it. Also, I loved the mythology of it. I love, Rick Riordan did really well in his research, obviously. I mean, he always does. I mean, he did great with Percy Jackson, and the Egyptian history in this is, very interesting and, really well done. But, the characters just flopped. I have the other 2 books that are out. I don't know if I'm going to continue on with it. I'm the kind of person that it, really eats me up inside if I start a series and don't finish it. But you, really know that I don't like a book when I won't continue on. Again, there is a written review of this on my site, thebeantownreader.com. The last book I read in the month of March was Divergent by Veronica Roth. I have read this before. This was the 3rd time reading it for me. I love this series. It is so unique. It's such a unique take on dystopian societies. I saw Insurgent when it first came out, and as soon as I got home, I needed to read it again. I needed to get back into the series. And as I was watching the movie Insurgent, I was like, wait a minute, that didn't happen in the book. Wait a minute, what is that box? What's going on? That didn't happen. So I was thinking to myself, did I read it so long that I don't remember what happened? But no, that definitely didn't happen in the book. So I went home, I started Divergent, I devoured it for the 3rd time. And I feel like every time I read this book, I find something new that I love, and I connect with a different character. This time around reading it, I really connected with Christina. I loved it. Oh my god, I just loved it so much. So if you haven't read this, please go read it. Please. I'm begging you. It was incredible. I love this. I love this book. I love it. I'm gonna get lipstick on it. I don't want to do that. Okay, well. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars for the 3rd time in a row. I just adore it. Veronica Roth is a god. I love her, and I hope that she keeps writing more books. I really hope so. Please, Veronica, please write me another one. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching, and keep an eye out for more videos. Bye!